with us. Hope you are doing well out there as we are 1 week away from Christmas. We are Sports Steakies. Tone, I'm Rob. I want to remind everybody, Tone, that I talked to Gunner yesterday, and Trish is doing well. She's making improvements. They're hoping to have her home this week before the Christmas holiday comes up. But he said that it's slow but sure, and her spirits are good and her attitude's great, and she's very excited to get back and be home in her own the comfort of her own home. So anyway, you can see it pinned on there in the chat section. You could go there and donate anything you could to help Derek and Trish. It's a real long road back in terms of the rehab, in terms of some of the modifications they have to make around the house to accommodate Trish's, situation. So anything you can do is great. And you can also go to Derek's Facebook page and you can link right up there as well, whatever's easiest for you, but appreciate anything you can do.
Yeah. Shout out to our guy, D-Gun. Shout out to his family. Shout out to his wife, Trish. More prayers and more blessings are on the way. Best believe that. We got you back over here, D-Gun. So we appreciate you guys for always locking in on the content. We appreciate those who've been able to support in any way possible. Means a lot to us, means even more to them. So again, if you guys do want to support, the GoFundMe link is in the live chat. Whatever you are able to support, whatever you are able to provide, it's still meaningful, and it's valued all the same. So we appreciate you guys, and let's keep on going with the content, man. So much more to talk about.
Yeah, appreciate it, everybody. So, and good to see everybody in the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. It's gonna be fun tonight. The thing is, with all of the stuff happening here, from an Eagles perspective, whether it's the coaching stuff, whether it's they're not knowing if Hurts is going to play, what are they going to do with Slay not playing? Who's going to cover Metcalf? They're going to be without Cunningham, their best linebacker. They're without Jurgens, who they typically run the ball better with. Like, there's so many different storylines going into this game, but these are the kind of things that make sports fun, make it interesting, right? And it's not just it's going to be the Eagles' best against Seattle's best. It's never that way in football, especially this time of year. So they're dealing with a lot of different stuff, man. That is for sure. All right, so let me throw this at you, Tone, because we did touch on it a little bit, but this offseason, the Eagles had to make some very tough decisions. So they let Javon Hargrave walk. They let C.J. Gardner-Johnson walk. They let TJ Edwards walk. They let Kaiser White walk, Marcus Epps walk, among other folks on the defensive side of the ball. Now, some of this is just a result of being in a salary cap league. As much as we think of Howie as a magician, sometimes you got to pay the piper, and some contracts are be too rich for your blood. But if you look at it now, I still contend that this is a defense that lacks talent really badly in certain areas. Now, some of this is also affected by injury. They lost Devontae Maddox, who they could have back by early as next week, by the way. But they lost him. They lost some other pieces along the way. And frankly, I just don't think that they were good enough in other spots. So how much of this does Howie wear?
He has to wear a lot of it. I mean, when you think about the moves he's made, you replaced TJ Edwards, a guy you developed, by the way. You replaced TJ Edwards and Kaiser White with Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow, and now you have Shaq Leonard in there, but you tried to force feed us Nakobe Dean when it was quite plain to see that he wasn't able to do the job, nor was he able to stay healthy. This is his second time on IR this season, so it's just like this offseason going into this season has just been plagued with a series of miscalculations, right? Am I going to kill Howie Roseman for bringing back James Bradbury? No, because James Bradbury was an all-pro corner last year. So you brought him back in good faith, thinking he would at least give you something close to that, right? Do I kill Howie Roseman for renegotiating with Darius Slay? No, I don't. I don't kill him for renegotiating with Darius Slay and bringing him back for another season because, Darius Slay, even though he had a less than satisfactory back into the season, even though it didn't go up to his standards, the standards that we're used to seeing with Darius Slay, bringing him back in good faith still made sense, right? You still felt like he had something left in the tank. Elevating Reed Blankenship. Was that a bad move? No, I don't think so, because he showed you that he could play. And if you continue to develop him, he can continue to get better. He showed you that he was a sure tackler, and he also had an ability to make some plays in certain spots. Losing out on CJGJ at the time, I didn't even kill him for that, because clearly the negotiation soured. Clearly CJGJ overvalued himself, and he ended up getting what, $8 million from the Lions on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
And now and you know, I think he just came back, or he's eligible to come back.
He'll be back this week. They think he'll play this week. Yep.
Right. And who's to say that same injury would have occurred or wouldn't have occurred in Philadelphia? We'll never know. That's
yeah, it's impossible to know.
That's revisionist history. So there are certain moves, and also we don't kill him for losing on Javon Hargrave. They gave him $20+ million. You drafted Jalen Carter. Okay, not a bad replacement. So when I really look at the different moves he's made, for me, the moves that really stood out the most go to that linebacker position.
Yep.
You put Nakobe Dean in a position where he wasn't necessarily poised to be as successful as we probably would have liked him to be. He played almost no snaps last year, and all of a sudden he's the green dot. That didn't sound right to me. And to allow TJ Edwards to walk for less than $7 million a year, that's malpractice to me, especially if it's a guy you developed. Now, did you draft? Now, we know the Philadelphia Eagles love their draft picks, but you picked up TJ Edwards, what, a day later or the day of? You know that as soon as the draft's over, teams attack the undrafted free agent pool. You found TJ Edwards and you developed him and you let him walk. That's malpractice. You can't do that. You developed the guy. And this league is made up mainly of 6th, 7th round picks and undrafted guys, right? There are more undrafted guys playing right now in the NFL than first rounders. So when you think about it from that perspective, why lose out on a quality guy like that? Now, was he the best linebacker in the league? No, but he played the position the way it was supposed to be played, and he gave you reliability and stability at the position. It's malpractice. So when you look at this roster, Howie Roseman definitely dropped the ball. Did he do enough to satisfy the edge rusher position in terms of depth? No. Why? Because we see Josh Sweat playing more snaps than he probably should, right? Are they giving BG enough snaps? Maybe not. Did they give Nolan Smith enough snaps early? No, they did not. So there has just been a series of miscalculations throughout the season that the Philadelphia Eagles are paying for right now. So I think Howie Roseman does have to wear a lot of this. And when you couple that with the Sean Desai demotion, which in my opinion is a pseudo firing, he's not going to be here next year.
Oh, no question, he's gone.
So when you couple that with the Sean Desai demotion, it looks like Sean Desai is being scapegoated. It looks that way. That's one way to look at it. Now, do I believe he's being scapegoated? Not necessarily, because again, when your defense is at the bottom of every meaningful category, that goes beyond just personnel to me.
I agree. Well, I think it's whenever something goes to this extreme, it's usually a little bit of everything. They didn't look when you have 7 new starters on the defensive side. You were going to take a hit. We talked about this all preseason leading up to the year, and I said Brian Johnson's at a greater advantage than Sean Desai is because his personnel has almost stayed the same. You had a change at guard and a change at running back. On the defensive side, you had a lot of new starters and a lot of you had to mix in some younger guys and figure it all out on the fly. It was going to be tougher for Desai naturally. That said, it shouldn't look this bad. But I also saw people in here saying the talent on the defensive side isn't that much worse than last year. I fully disagree. I mean, first of all, you have
less speed. You have significantly less speed on the defense this year. Significantly less stability at linebacker.
Yeah, you have way more. You had better players and better depth at linebacker. You were healthier across the board. You still had Hargrave, who got you 11 sacks. Brandon Graham had a much better year last year, got 11 sacks. Did you, again, I don't have a problem with the Hargrave moving on, but he's an established guy who was ferocious at getting after the quarterback. And you've had guys like Bradbury who have lost a step, Slay, who's okay, but he's not special. So guys have gotten worse. You don't have as many people on that side of the ball. So I wholeheartedly disagree with they have just the same amount of talent. I don't think so at all. And by the way,
you know what it is? They have the same amount of names. It's names.
And the other part is for everybody who wanted to run Gannon out of town, who hated Gannon, maybe Gannon was a little bit better than you thought. If you think they had the same amount of talent this year and last year, maybe Gannon was pretty good. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
So right. So pick your poison. You got to pick a side now. Did they have the same amount of talent? If so, that means Jonathan Gannon wasn't the issue.
Right.
Or was there a talent deficiency, which implies Sean Desai wasn't given a fair shake.
Right.
So which is it?
The transitive, hey, CJ Gardner got hurt in Detroit. He would have gotten here. I see another one. Javon Hargrave is hurt. Does that mean he would have gotten hurt here? Did he get hurt on? Would it be the same exact play that would have happened? Like, can we just be a little bit brighter, people? I know you're begging for attention. I get it, but let's be a little bit smarter. Okay, let's think it out a little bit more, a little deeper. I get it. I get it. You're trying to troll, and I get it, but just think it out a little bit more.
Intelligence is just as admirable as beauty, right? So don't think you have to make an ass of yourself just to get seen.
And you're not going to get seen.
We're going to notice you if we're going to notice you if you're intelligent, right? And here's the thing, right? That's only like 1% or 2% of the
I agree.
market,
It's
right?
a small minority.
Like 98% of you guys know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
A lot of people say 99. No, I'm saying 98 because I think 2% of you guys are just idiots.
Yes.
But 98%, and you know who you are. 98% of you guys are actually pretty rational, pretty smart fans.
Agreed.
And I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. Hit dogs holler. If it don't apply, let it fly. So again, the 98% of you guys that I'm talking to, you know who you are, right?
Exactly.
You guys are pretty intelligent fans. There's only a few of you guys who seek attention and kind of all that kind of stuff. So, but listen, man, back to the topics at hand, right?
Just because production is dipped doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything. Okay. Brilliant.
That was on purpose. I don't know who said that, but that was on purpose.
There's some brilliance there. All right.
Go ahead, Rob.
Well, I think the other thing you look at that do Howie and Jeffrey and whomever else make these decisions. I think Nick is involved. I don't think he's totally separate from this, but he's I think they certainly have greater say. Do they need to be more flexible? In the sense that, okay, maybe and again, hypothetically speaking, if Denard Wilson wanted to do things a little bit differently from the way that Gannon did it, do they have to be more willing to embrace that, like a different look than exactly what they think? And I think maybe that kind of thinking gets them in trouble sometimes, where it almost has to be, man, if he doesn't fit exactly our mold of what we're looking for, then, we're going to give a direction. Again, I don't know all the personal dynamics. That's the problem with an example like Denard Wilson, is we don't know what the personal dynamics are that went into all the decision-making. But I do have to ask that. I mean, the guy you decided to bring in got through 13 games before you made a change. So that's a bad look, no matter what. Whether it was Denard Wilson or somebody else, it's a bad look.
Yeah, and you brought up an interesting point, right? With Denard Wilson. Even if he did want to bring in some different wrinkles or whatever, that should have never been a problem. You want to know why? Because I'm a firm believer, if you continue to do things the exact same way you've always done them, then you kind of put yourself at a disadvantage against the competition.
Yep.
So for me, if Denard was, and I highly doubt he would have just completely dismantled the Vic Fangio style of defense, but I'm pretty sure he would have added more wrinkles, got a little bit more creative, would have, maybe switched up some tendencies, right? That's what you need when you are at the top of the heap and everyone's watching you and trying to figure out what you do well and why you're number one in all these categories. Teams are going to try to figure that out. So you're going to need someone to bring in a little bit of creativity in what you're already doing. That's what Denard Wilson, in my opinion, was trying to do. But then you let him walk. He goes to Baltimore and he has those DBs playing out of their minds. And that defense is, I think, top 5 in almost every category. So when you think about it from that perspective, they wanted to bring in someone that they could control, that would do things exactly the way they want it to be done, which is the same exact way. Right. And with that mentality, it makes you understand why the offense has been what it's been. They want guys to do things exactly the way it's been done and not change a damn thing about it. And then we wonder why the offense has been lagging, or why the offense is, I don't know, predictable, right? Why we've been seeing. Go ahead.
One of the things that bothers me, Tone, about the running thing is, and this is not a knock on any particular pundit, but whenever you push back and you say, look, I would just like to see them run the ball a little bit more, put more emphasis on it, try to run it a little bit more effectively. And I get, like, they haven't run it well when they've tried lately, but it doesn't mean you just quit on it, because you're not going to quit on throwing the ball if you're not particularly successful.
That's because they haven't committed to it, right? When you're just doing something just to do it, it never looks the way. Like, your parent ever tell you to do something and you just doing it because they said it, but you know the result probably would have been way different if you actually would say, you know what, I'm going to actually try to get this done the way they wanted to get done.
Exactly.
And I want to try to. I'm really going to commit myself to making sure my parent sees that I want to check this box for them, right?
Right.
And the results different. You know, it's when you're not trying, you're just, okay, I'll do it just to say I did it. It's not the same as committing yourself to it. It's not.
Yeah, I agree that. I agree with that. I just, there are a lot of people that, like, in my opinion, who cover the team, who feed into the party line of what the team believes. And they're like, you don't need to run the ball anymore. Well, okay. Well, again, just look at last night, what Buffalo was able to do against the Cowboys.
31 points on 95 yards passing. Come on.
And I don't think anybody is calling for, 75-25 run, even though that was the extreme last night in Buffalo. I don't think anybody's calling for that. Just a little bit more emphasis on it. That's all. That's all. So anyway, it's, to me, I think, something that you have to look at. So let's hit a couple of things. Mm-hmm. All right. So Hurts was under the weather to the point where he didn't fly with the team, and they downgraded him to questionable, which is better than doubtful. So that's a concern. And even if he plays, is physically, is he going to be able to hold up? All right. We'll see. They're already without Slay, which means it's probably Keely Ringo getting the start. If it's not Ringo, they could go Ricks. They could go Job. They could move Roby off of the slot. There's a lot of different things that they can do. I don't know that if somebody's getting beat early, you might see them change things up. That for sure, you could see that adjustment. But that hurts, and not having Zach Cunningham at the linebacker spot hurts, because now Shaq Leonard is really thrown into the fire. A guy who probably doesn't know the system all that well, and we just don't know where he is physically. So he's going to have to play tonight. But the thing is, Seattle's dealing with their own stuff too. Geno has been downgraded. Tom Pelissero said this morning, it looks like a long shot if he's going to be able to play with that groin injury, which means it's Drew Lock. And Drew Lock certainly isn't the worst backup in the league. I don't want to come across that way, but I think Geno gives them a better chance to win. But there's a lot of injury issues here factoring in addition to the Desai Patricia stuff.
This is the part of the season where the war of attrition will decide everything.
Yep.
Everyone's banged up. Everyone's dealing with something. A lot of backup quarterbacks have been playing all year. We've been seeing a lot of head-to-head backup quarterback matchups as well. So this is par for the course for the way the NFL season has been going.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate because Jalen Hurts has been pretty. He's battled injury and still managed to play every single game up to this point. I, in my mind, would like to believe he's going to get his behind out there. I think that's how he's wired. I think they got him IV'd up. You know what I mean? I think they got every supplement, every sense of Dayquil, Benadryl. They just
every ill.
Yeah, every ill, you know what I mean? they just pumping him for all those things, and vitamins and vitamin C and D and E and Z and all those things. So I think Jalen Hurts will play tonight.
Yeah.
Now I think the game plan won't be exactly the same. I don't think we're going to see him on too many quarterback design runs tonight if he does play. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to try their best to really get their running backs involved, like legitimately this time.
Yeah.
Because again, I can't get what Buffalo did out of my mind. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
The way they dismantled the Cowboys with pure physicality.
Yes.
The Philadelphia Eagles have everything at their disposal to do this exact same thing,
mm-hmm.
except the commitment, right?
Yes.
Except the ingenuity, right? So, again, man, I think everything that's happened these past several days, Nick Sirianni should be on high alert. I'm not saying he's at risk of losing his job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Brian Johnson's at risk of losing his job. But when you see how they handled that Sean Desai situation, I think every coach in that building should be a little bit more.
I agree. It also tells you, man, everybody's on notice.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone should be put on notice. Everyone has been put on notice. Everybody should be a little should be walking a little lighter.
Yeah,
in that building, they should be tiptoeing a little bit. So, the one thing about Jeffrey Lurie, If he doesn't feel like something is meeting his expectations, he will make a move.
He will.
Remember
And
the
I
Mike
would
Groh
rather that.
situation with Doug Peterson. Remember Mike Groh? Doug
Yeah.
Peterson said, "Oh yeah." Doug Peterson was like, "Yeah, Mike's going to be here." 2 or 3 days later, Mike's fired, and Doug Peterson has to answer for that.
Yeah,
I agree
with you. I would rather you correct a mistake than compound it. And I talked about this with Jalen Reagor. They clearly made a mistake with Jalen Reagor. Everybody knows this. This is not breaking news. But at least they didn't force feed it beyond the second year. They moved on from him. They drafted Devontae the very next year. They knew they had to get it, another receiver in there. And this could be similar. Everybody makes a mistake, but I guess they viewed it as, you know what, if we really want to have a chance at the playoffs, this has got to look differently on the defensive side of the ball. And you can't sit there and fire all the players or change the roles of all the players. You got to kind of live with what we have personnel wise, but maybe the message can be heard a little bit differently. Maybe in-game play calling can be a little bit different. So let's take a shot at it. And I think that's a smart way to go.
Exactly. And here's the thing, right? Out of everything we've said, discussed, speculated, all those things, regardless of how we feel, the results are going to dictate everything.
Yes.
And who knows, right? Matt Patricia could be the magic elixir that changes the way this defense is performing. We honestly don't know. All we can do is operate off of what we know about his resume. All we can do is operate off of what we've seen from Sean Desai and say to ourselves, well, it can't get much worse. So,
right. That's the thing. It can't be worse. And even if it doesn't look markedly different tonight, because you're also dealing with a lot of injuries tonight. Hopefully with those 3 games against 3 teams that aren't great, you can sort of rebuild this thing slowly but surely. And then you're ready to hit the ground running once the postseason starts. That's a big piece of this thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big factor. All right, let's get a timeout. Mike Sealski is going to join us, columnist from the Inquirer, next at 1:30. Jeff McClain, who is the beat writer for the Birds for the Yankee, will join us. So we got a lot in store. Don't go anywhere. He's Tone to Shields. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances can be a tough thing. And it took me a while to find the right person. I finally did, and it's Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, you might have a small business and you need help with your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim can assist you with. I personally have entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You could also email him as well, Murray, Murray,